Admiral Voss of the galactic hegemony gazed from the bridge of his command vessel at the small blue planet below. Earth, a primitive world on the fringes of civilized space, yet oddly defiant, despite its technological inferiority. The natives called themselves humans, a stubborn species that had rejected hegemony authority for the last time. "Begin the operation," Voss ordered, his six-fingered hand gripping the command rail. "Make an example of settlement E992. The settlement, known to humans as New Haven, had been chosen specifically for its isolation. Just a small colony on Mars, established 10 years prior, as humanity expanded through their solar system. The hegemony strategy was simple. Eliminate this outpost with minimal witnesses, then deliver terms of surrender to Earth's governments. What the hegemony did not know was that among the colony's children were the twins, Thomas and Elena Mercer, offspring of a man known throughout the darkest corners of the galaxy simply as the Shadow. James Mercer had once been the hegemony's most effective operative, an assassin, saboteur, and intelligence gatherer without equal. He had walked away from that life when he met Laura, a brilliant terraforming engineer assigned to the Mars project. They had built a quiet life together, raising their children far from his violent past. The attack came during the colony's night cycle. Precision antimatter charges breached the habitat domes while boarding parties secured key facilities. The hegemony forces were efficient, separating adults from children, executing the former while preparing to take the latter as hostages. In the chaos, 8-year-old Thomas activated the emergency beacon his father had installed. A simple device, disguised as a toy watch, its signal traveled across the solar system, reaching a nondescript apartment in Chicago, where James Mercer sat reading geological reports for his mining consultation business. The beacon's soft chime froze him mid-sentence, a sound he had prayed never to hear. 300 million kilometers away, Lieutenant Drex reported to Admiral Voss. "Sir, the operation proceeded as planned. Adult population neutralized. 43 juvenile specimens secured for processing." "Casualties?" Voss inquired. "Minimal. 2 soldiers injured when one of the female humans attacked with a maintenance tool." Voss nodded, satisfied. "Prepare my address to the Earth governments. They will understand our resolve now." The first sign that something had gone catastrophically wrong came 12 hours later, when the hegemony listening post on Phobos went silent. Then the automated defense platforms orbiting Mars began firing, not at approaching Earth vessels but at the hegemony's own ships. "Impossible," Voss snarled as reports flooded in. "Those systems require hegemony authentication codes." In the Ido detention block, the children heard the distant alarms. Elena Mercer looked at her brother through tear-stained eyes. "Do you think it's Dad?" Thomas nodded. "He promised he'd always come for us." The Shadow moved through the hegemony flagship like a ghost, a dark silhouette flickering through security feeds for mere milliseconds before disappearing. Bodies of security personnel were discovered in sealed compartments, in maintenance tunnels, in ventilation shafts, each dispatched with terrible efficiency. No alerts were triggered, no weapons were fired. The Shadow had helped design these very ships decades ago, knew their weaknesses intimately, and carried authentication codes the hegemony hadn't bothered to change in 20 years. "Find the intruder," Voss bellowed as the bridge lights flickered. "Lock down all sections." "Systems aren't responding, Admiral," an officer reported, panic evident in his voice. "Someone's overriding command functions." The ship's internal communication system crackled to life. A quiet, almost gentle human voice addressed them. "You took my children. You killed their friends, their mother." Admiral Voss felt a chill run through his exoskeleton. "Who is this? Identify yourself." "You called me the Shadow once, before I retired." The name caused visible terror among the bridge officers old enough to remember the legends. "Impossible," Voss whispered. "The Shadow was a myth created to frighten cadets. Look at your tactical display, Admiral." Voss turned to see that the entire hegemony attack fleet was now surrounded by Earth vessels that had somehow approached undetected. Mining ships, retrofitted with military hardware, alongside sleek vessels of unknown design. "Earth is more prepared," Then you thought, the voice continued. We've been expecting you since your scouts were detected a decade ago. You just accelerated the timetable. The communications officer frantically reported, Sir, we're receiving transmissions from all across hegemony space, coordinated attacks on our key military installations, communications hubs disabled, encrypted, files being broadcast openly on all channels. Throughout the ship, blast doors sealed shut, trapping crew members in sections rapidly depleting of oxygen. On the bridge, atmospheric pressure began to drop. I had left that life behind, the voice said. Built something new, something peaceful, and you destroyed it. James Mercer stood in the detention block, the last hegemony guard at his feet. The children rushed to him, Thomas and Elena clinging to his legs while the others watched in confusion and hope. Dad, Elena sobbed. Mom tried to stop them. I know, sweetheart. His voice was gentle with his children, nothing like the cold tone that had addressed the bridge. I'm going to make sure this never happens again. 3 days later, representatives from Earth arrived at the hegemony capital world with terms of surrender. They brought with them comprehensive intelligence on every hegemony military installation, weapons development program, and classified operation conducted over the past 50 years. The message was clear. Either accept peaceful coexistence or face complete dismantling. On Mars, a memorial was built for the fallen colonists of New Haven. At its center stood a statue of Laura Mercer, whose final act had been to help several children hide before the hegemony soldiers found her. James Mercer never returned to the intelligence services that had privately supported his one-man war against the hegemony. Instead, he focused on raising his children and helping rebuild the Mars colony with improved defenses. But throughout the galaxy, the story spread of how the mighty hegemony had unknowingly awakened something far more dangerous than they could. Imagine when they slayed the children of Mars, not knowing their father was the Shadow. The humans had a saying, the lone wolf is most dangerous when protecting its cubs. The hegemony had learned this lesson at terrible cost, and the galaxy would never be the same.